sentence for the murder of a Suffolk pensioner has been told he can challenge his conviction at the Court of Appeal.
Simon Hall was jailed for life at Ipswich Crown Court 6 years ago, found guilty of stabbing to death 79-year-old Joan Albert at her home near Ipswich. But doubts have been raised about the forensic evidence put forward by the prosecution. This report from our Home Affairs correspondent Sally Chidzoy.
79-year-old widow Joan Albert was stabbed to death at her home in Capel St Mary near Ipswich in December 2001. Simon Hall from Ipswich is serving life for her murder. He has always protested his innocence. Police did not find his blood or other DNA at the murder scene. Instead, they relied on evidence of fibres recovered at the house. Evidence that will now be scrutinised by the Court of Appeal.
We did have concerns. It took us... there was a lot of evidence actually pointing away from him. The trouble was that this fibre evidence was so strong in the jury's mind. But once the fibre evidence had gone, then clearly what you were left with was the nagging doubt about the safety of the conviction. And it's that the Court of Appeal is going to address.
The prosecution had made much of the black flock fibres. More than 1,000 of them were recovered from the murder scene. The forensic expert had said they were indistinguishable from fibres recovered at Simon Hall's home. Friends and family set up a website in support of Simon Hall. There are many other questions to be answered. Among them, how could Simon Hall have squeezed his way through a 14-inch gap in a smashed window at the pensioner's home? Tonight's developments will bring renewed pain to the family of the murder victim. Joan Albert is seen at her local supermarket. Less than 24 hours later, she was murdered. If Simon Hall did not kill her, who did?
Well, Sally's in Cambridge now. Have we heard from Simon Hall's family tonight, Sally?
Yes, in fact, a short time ago we spoke to Simon Hall's father, Phil, who I understand lives in the Ipswich area. He said to us tonight he's still taking it in. He only got told at 4:30 today. We're delighted, elated and shocked, he said. It's fantastic news and confirmation that other people agree with what we believe, that Simon should never have been convicted. We hope to speak to him soon. We also spoke to a friend of Simon's tonight, Billy Middleton. He said, we're delighted. Simon is excited and relieved, but it's taken a long time and a lot of pain too.
And there will be a lot of questions, presumably, about the police inquiry and about the forensic scientists.
It's highly likely that the focus will be on the forensic evidence, and the question will be why were the forensic experts brought forward by the prosecution and the defence, perhaps not more discerning about the quality of the fibre evidence. We've spoken briefly to Suffolk Police tonight. They only gave a terse statement. We're aware of the decision. As such, they say, we are unable to make any further comment. Now back to you in the studio.
Sally, thank you very much.
A man appeared in court today in connection with the disappearance of a woman from Stevenage a year ago. Scottish detectives confirmed that body remains unearthed in Edinburgh this week are those of 25-year-old Samantha Wright, who vanished from her home last year. Let's get the details now from Nikki Jenkins, who's in Stevenage.
Thank you. Well, officers from Lothian and Borders Police have been in Stevenage most of today with Samantha's mother. It was actually her family who reported her missing when she failed to get in touch over Christmas. Samantha had come back to Stevenage in May of last year. Things weren't working out in Edinburgh and she stayed but then decided that she would go back. Just a couple of weeks later, she disappeared. She can't have known that her determination to make a go of her new life would lead to her being robbed of the chance of any life at all.
Finally knowing has proved more agonising than the wait itself. Their daughter's remains discovered, it's believed, in a wheelie bin in this Edinburgh garden. A confident, bubbly teenager, Samantha moved to Edinburgh after falling in love with the city on a trip there with her dad. But 3 or so years on, as he told the BBC's Missing programme, things weren't going to plan.
She was just kind of defiant, sort of, all right, it's all gone pear-shaped, but I'm not going to give up. She seemed like she'd sort of dusted herself down and brushed herself off and got back on with things.
She went back and we all saw her on the coach. She was fine. Sort of waving, she was going back to sort everything out and she was OK.
Samantha was last seen at a job centre in June last year. An extensive missing person search was launched and CCTV footage released showing her walking down the street with an older man.
We were looking into a CCTV image we had of a last sighting of Samantha, and as a result of those inquiries that led us to this address.
After a 2-day search, police found what they'd been looking for. This afternoon, 57-year-old Robert Chalmers appeared at Edinburgh Sheriff Court, accused of attempting to defeat the ends of justice in connection with the discovery of the remains of a missing woman.
Well, Samantha's father, Jem, is on his way back to Stevenage this evening. He'd been away in Cumbria on a trip. It was only confirmed today that the remains in Edinburgh are those of their daughter. And in many ways, this is a beginning as police begin their investigation to find out how and when Samantha died.
Nikki, thank you very much. New figures out today show that 200,000 workers in this region are now looking for a job. It's the highest figure for 14 years.
Today's figures bring little comfort to those who've fallen victim to the recession. The rate of increase is slowing, but the numbers are still going up. As Stuart said, unemployment in this region stands tonight at 200,000. That's an increase of 13,000 on the previous quarter. The unemployment rate here is now 6.7%, compared with the national average of 7.9%. One thing the figures are showing is that men are losing their jobs at a much faster rate than women.
Stuart and Lucy Reynolds live in Peterborough, and their experience of the recession is not untypical in that the wife is working but the husband is not. Lucy works as an administrator, but 40-year-old Stuart has just been made redundant after 24 years with the same employer.
I'm disappointed that I obviously lost it because it was the job I wanted to do, and quite a lot of the jobs are younger people that I'm competing against, so yes, that doesn't help, unfortunately. But I'm possibly don't have probably my experience, so.
Stuart worked in IT for the catalogue firm Freeman's. It's closing its Peterborough operation with a loss of 500 jobs. Stuart's brushing up on his skills at a training centre in the city as he looks for a new job. This recession is hitting men much harder than women. Unemployment among men is up by 50%, among women by 33%.
Men have been more adversely affected by the recession than women for two reasons. Firstly, there are more men in the sectors that have lost most jobs, notably manufacturing and construction. But in addition, the public sector, where there's a preponderance of women employees, has added jobs during the recession.
Private sector jobs continue to be lost. 160 posts will go when Seaver Logistics of Wellingborough shuts this transport depot. But work started today on a £38 million sporting village in Basildon. It'll provide the only 50-metre swimming pool in Essex and could be a training venue for the 2012 Olympics. And 1,500 scientists will eventually be employed at a new bioscience campus in the grounds of the drugs firm GlaxoSmithKline in Stevenage.
We feel that the UK is a good place to do this because it has an excellent science base, and we've got an opportunity to make a difference here, not only for the UK economy, but also for UK patients as well.
The recession may be hitting men like Stuart Reynolds, but tougher times may be on the way for women too. Planned cuts to public spending are bound to hit the strongholds of female employment. Richard Bond, BBC Look East.
Well, still to come tonight, we're live in King's Lynn to see how